Over the last couple of weeks, we spent time talking about different things that are important to network admins, that are important to security professionals that are out there in the field. However, today we're going to have a conversation on enterprise mobility management. And as a network admin or a security professional, you might be thinking, well, what does that matter? I don't care about the mobile devices that are on my network. I don't care about those laptops. Well, you should. You should care about what's connecting to your environment. You should care about securing those devices that are connected to your environment. So those things matter. Enterprise mobility management encompasses different technologies like mobile device management, mobile app management, and Meraki has it. So if you're looking for a way to unify your organization, to elevate the enterprise and bring in different teams to use the dashboard, this is a way to do it. Again, we've spent time talking about security devices. We've spent time talking about wireless switches. But today, we want to see a different side of the dashboard that lets you manage your mobile devices, laptops, tablets, phones. They need to be secured. And this is a great opportunity to bring in other pieces of the organization into the Cisco Meraki dashboard. Let's talk about it briefly. Let's take a tour of what Systems Manager can do for you. Let's say you find yourself purchasing 1,000 iPads out there for your organization, whether it's manufacturing, education, whatever it is. You want to manage those devices. And you can do that from Systems Manager in the dashboard. Just like you manage the security appliances that are out there, cellular gateways, switches, you can do the same thing for your devices. Whether it's an iPad, it's an Android device, it could be a MacBook, a Windows device, you can manage and see all that information within the dashboard. So this is, again, it's another way to bring in another team from the organization to take advantage of this single pane of glass here. And there's integrations between other devices that are out there, like on the wireless side, you can have an SSID that is used for enrolling these devices. There are so many things you can do. You can take advantage of Apple's volume purchasing program, and you can bring in all these devices and configure them, supervise them within the dashboard. You can do remote desktop administration to certain devices that are supported as well from Systems Manager. What I'm doing today is very simple. I just have my kids' iPads on here. I'm not doing anything with supervision. I'm not taking advantage of automated device enrollment. I pretty much manually enrolled those devices just to get information in the dashboard of these devices. What applications are they running? What are they doing? What's the health of these devices? Are they jailbroken? That's some of the information that I'm taking advantage of within Systems Manager. So let's take a look at that. Let's go over Systems Manager. And let's take a look at the summary there. And I don't have 1,000 iPads at home, thankfully. I have a few iPads, and that's what you'll see on here. You'll see Kids O1 and Kids O2, what type of model they are, what is the OS that they're currently running, what are some of the unmanaged apps that are out there, and as well as what are the managed apps. So what apps are you pushing down to these devices? You'll see that information here. Let's go over to Systems Manager, and you can see a lot of options there. There's so much you can do configuration-wise, especially if you're taking advantage of Apple's VPP, if you're using ADE. For Android, if you have Android Enterprise, there's connectivity here for Android Enterprise. They work together. So there's a lot of customization you can do to keep your devices safe and to keep them within policy. Let's go over to Devices. And we'll see the devices that I have out there. I have, if they pop up, I have two devices, those two iPads. We'll click on one of these iPads, and there's a ton of information you can see here. So you can see if the devices are jailbroken. You can see what the health of the device is. Are they missing any profiles that you're pushing down? What's the storage like? What network are they currently on? And these devices, as part of your policy, They could check in once a day, once every few days, whatever it is, once an hour. You have full control of what you want these devices to do. And you can take advantage. There's commands, of course, that you can push down to the devices if you want to lock the device, if you want to erase the device remotely. I mean, there's a lot of power here, especially if these devices have been supervised. There's so much you can do for these devices. I can send messages to the devices through the app, the MDM itself. It can keep track of the connection logs that are out there. Let's go through and let's see what types of devices are supported. So if we go over to add a device, we will see the different options that are out there. There are different devices and different options that you can manage here. Now, there are some prerequisites depending on the device that you're trying to manage. For example, in iOS, there was a certificate I had to create prior to managing those iPads. On Android, I had to have connectivity into Android Enterprise. But Systems Manager walks you through those steps and how to get there. It's pretty simple. Let's go over to iOS. Once there, you can kind of see there's different options to add those devices in. Whether you're doing it manually and you're typing in the code into enroll.meraki.com, you can use the QR code. There are different ways to do it automatically. But the way I did it here at home for just those two tablets is I used the mobile browser version here, the enroll.meraki.com. It downloaded the app, it downloaded the profile, and it immediately showed up in the dashboard pretty much. Let's go over to Systems Manager, and we'll go over to Settings, just to briefly take a look at that. I created a profile, Kids iPad profile, and that's where I have the settings that are out there. What SSID should they join? What are the restrictions that I want on these devices? And some of this does require supervision, right? And some of this is just user enrollment. So you can look through those features, you can look at the restrictions you can apply. But if you go to add settings, you can kind of see the full breadth of what you can do with Systems Manager. There is a lot. You can spend so much time configuring your policies, configuring your profiles here, and that is what you should be doing for your organization. If we go back, let's go to Systems Manager. Let's go over to Add Devices. What I want you to see now is, even though I manually added those iPads that are here at the house, it was pretty simple to do. Let's take a look at what that looks like. Apologies for the blurriness on the iPad video here, but as you can see, sort of, I'm heading over to enroll.meraki.com. And when I go there, I'm going to be asked for the network ID, and that's the ID that you saw on one of the previous screens. I am manually enrolling the device here. So I'm putting in the ID just for authentication, security purposes. I'm also going to log in. And once I have that, I'm going to be able to download the profile or certificate. And that's what I'm doing here. I'm taking a look and I'm going to allow that profile to be downloaded. Then what I'll do is I'll go and select the profile. And you have to do that pretty much with any MDM or some VPNs as well. So here I have the profile that I downloaded. I am installing the profile right now. Once the profile is installed, at that point is when you'll have the ability to push down applications to those devices. I'm enrolling the device, and the device pretty much immediately showed up in the dashboard, and I was able to see all the status information for that device. We want to install the applications that are being pushed down. So the only app that I'm pushing down is really just the Systems Manager app. But here's where I can push down a bunch of other apps. Let's take a look at if I'm compliant. And as you can see, I'm not. Location services are needed. So what I'm doing here is I'm simply allowing the location services. I'm going to refresh a couple of times once I enable it just to make sure things are good. But that was the only compliant issue I had. Because I don't have too many policies. And as you can see, things are in good shape once I refresh. Everything is looking pretty good right about now. There we go. This was an extremely simple example of what you could do with Systems Manager. But the hidden agenda here wasn't Systems Manager. Honestly, it was to show you the power of the dashboard. We've spent weeks talking about wireless, talking about security appliances, switching, and there's still so much more to talk about. Systems Manager is just a small piece of the dashboard. This is a great opportunity for you to reach out to systems admins that are out there and say, hey, if you're in charge of MDM, if you care about providing policy to different devices in your organization, check out Systems Manager. We can manage it in the dashboard together. That's a great opportunity to start building bridges to different parts of the organization, especially if you're in security, if you're on the network side of the house. This is it. It's an opportunity to unify your organization in a single dashboard. Let's continue to elevate the enterprise as we continue to explore different solutions on the Cisco Meraki dashboard.